I've gone live. You're live. See, I'm live. Oh, do we need to switch that light on or leave it like it is? I don't know. Do we normally switch it on or not? It's get darker, wouldn't it? Well, good evening, everyone. You caught me on the hop. Caught me on the hop. Glass of Chardonnay, I think, darling. Glass of Chardonnay. Already in the house. Evening, Chris. Can't stay tonight. It's Haley's birthday. Haley's birthday. Enjoy it, and I shall catch up. Karen, for a birthday present, you want to sit her down and let her watch it. Give her a treat. You're not taking her out, are you? He's probably cooking in the kitchen tonight. Good evening, Jason. Chip Chase. Hi, Chris. Hope you're well, mate, and safe. Yeah. Hello, folks. Craig, Christopher. Chris, can you give me your address, please, in Messenger private, and your address and your postcode for me, please, so I can send you that prize. Thank you very much. Good evening, Sir Paul Jarvis. Good evening, Peter Taylor. Peter Taylor. Did you send me a video? Yeah, I'll tell you about it in a minute. All right, Andy, how are you doing, boy? Keep staying safe. Hi, in the lovely suit. Evening, guys. I said this. Haha. Hang on, Karen. You've left the auditorium. Definitely not cooking. She's on a promise, is she? Bed early tonight, is it, Karen? Smooth haircut, Mr. Eruption. Yeah, done it myself. Look at that, eh? Hey, look. I was just talking to Chris Fraser, and Chris Fraser says my goatee's better looking than his. Hey, I'm an artist. Okay. Michael Long, good evening. Chris Jacob, good evening. Lorraine Bell, good evening. Not David Carter, good evening to you as well. Peter Piper, or was it Peter Taylor? Peter Piper sent me a video, not Peter Taylor. Peter Piper. Is it Peter Piper? Jesus Christ. Peter Piper sent me a video, and he asked me to critique it. And the question was, yes, it was Peter Piper. Listen to this, everyone. It was called Left and Right Retrieves. I hope this isn't flissing you off, but I've tried to send another video, hopefully be able to right-click the attachment on this one. I've clicked the button that I should let you edit it, so I'm fed up with it doesn't work. So what happens then? 2 days later, I said to him, he said, haha, pity about the content is crap, and I braced myself for the comments that might be coming my way. It's like waiting to get called to the headmaster's office. And so I sent him a message after watching the video and not putting it up, because I did watch the video. And my answer to him was, must try harder, laugh out loud. Then, haha, not the first time the headmaster said that to me, but please don't dish out the same punishment I used to get. And then today, Peter Piper, I put the video together, tripled it up, talked about it, tried to send it, and it crashed my computer completely. So I don't know whether you got a virus, but mine's an Apple computer, so I don't know what happened. We've still got it sitting here, but for some reason, it's played up. No, I didn't send the video. Peter Taylor, no, it wasn't you, it was Peter Piper. Sorry, it's my fault. Peter Piper picked a pepper. Peter Taylor used to be the manager of Derby County with Brian Clough, didn't he? Anyway, so Peter Piper, I am trying to get there with that. I hope you're enjoying the videos, everyone, on Patreon. They're going up pretty quick at the moment, aren't they? They're going up pretty good. Good evening, Matt Crew. How are you? Paul Jarvis, some great videos you put up lately. Enjoyed them. Look at that. I get what you mean with the 17-week-old pup being rushed. There you go. The thing is, it's so easy, isn't it? Look at my t-shirt. I've had my dinner on it. Look, and it's all freaking over the t-shirt. Sorry about that. I just have to keep it down like that. We had a chicken dinner. Sue made a chicken dinner today. Honestly, I thought it was my birthday. Don't mention them two. Me being a Leeds fan. Peter Taylor. Yeah, Cliffy didn't last too long at Leeds, did he? I see that Norman Hunter died last week, didn't he? That was a shame, wasn't it? Remember that scrap with Franny Lee at Derby? It was fantastic. That scrap. Franny Lee gave him a right hammering, didn't he? Hey, Leeds and Derby. Remember them? They were some good matches. They were Leeds and Derby. Good evening, Sue Yu. Good evening, all. Hope everyone's okay. And Free X. I don't know what the freaking hell that means.
Virus.
Oh, virus. She's having you on the edge of your seat. Hope you're not coughing, she says. Anyway, we've all said hello. So come on, let's fire away at some questions, shall we? Let's fire away at some questions. What's been happening to me this week? I don't know. Arguing with people again. Honestly, someone said to me this week, they said, what did they say? Listen to this. We won't mention names, but listen to this. You might have a laugh about this. You might have a laugh about this. You might not. You might have a laugh about this. I thought it was quite funny, but totally wrong. It says here, this person says about me, I think most gun dog trainers with tits and a treat bag incur his anger. What a statement. This is from a woman to another woman. Now, if I'd said that, that would have been sexist as hell, wouldn't it? I think most gun dog trainers with tits and a treat bag incur his anger.
It depends what you are this week. Are you a bum man, leg man, or tit man?
See what she said? She said, it all depends what I am, bum, tit, or leg man.
Well, men usually got a preference what they like, don't they?
I like to get abreast of the matter, darling, on a regular basis. Anyway, what I like to do is let's talk about a book. Let's talk about a book because obviously no one wants to talk about dog training. Let's talk about a real controversial subject, shall we, in the UK. You know, you talk about the Keeler book, you're cruel, you're barbaric. You shouldn't be using those methods with today's modern methods. You talk about the monks of Newskeet, oh, how dare they discipline dogs. But no, if you look into these books and value what is written in these books, you learn from books. It's simple as that. But books stand still in time. I've said this many a time. Anyway, this book. Anybody got this book? Can you see that?
Yeah.
E-collar Training by Larry Crone. On Patreon, I'm going to be going over to that book and highlighting the fact of why I like that book so much. Now, look at the thickness of that book. Look at the thickness of it. Now, it's simple to understand, simple to read, and yet it gets straight to the point. And that's what Larry's videos did for me when I started watching the reaction he was getting from dogs with using the e-collar. Now, certain trainers don't like certain other trainers. Certain trainers would never train that way. I like looking at everybody's methods and coming up with what I like. And that's what I've done all my life. I always say to people, go out there and watch and study as much as you can and come up with your own ideas. And once you've been doing it for over 20 odd years, if you're good at what you do, you'll start to have some understanding of what you're doing. Now, I talk to other trainers and I disagree with some trainers and I agree with other trainers. It's as simple as that. And I don't look for a bitch fight on the internet, but I speak my mind. And when I speak my mind, I'm going to upset certain people. Simple as that. Some people aren't going to be happy. But at the end of the day, Larry has opened my mind with his videos about e-collar training. And I don't want to push everybody over to e-collar training. I don't. But as soon as I went over to e-collar training, the hate mobs all said, that's why he can't train a dog. That's why he needs an e-collar. What a load of shite. If anyone wants to understand the concept of how brilliant the tool is, if used the way that Larry shows you, then I suggest you purchase this book. It's not expensive. It's on Amazon. And I think Larry has revolutioned the simplicity in this book, because I've read many and many a book in my life, right? And I had a copy of that and I lent it to someone and I lost it. And I can't remember who I lent it to. The same as my David Lissett 5D DVDs box set on gun dog training. I lent it to someone. I collect all these things because I love looking at other people's methods, other people's way of training. And I've never picked one up yet and thought, oh, freaking hell, you know nothing what you're talking about, Chris. That person's just so superior to you. I've not met one person yet. The first time I picked up the Ian Openshaw video, I think 20 odd years ago, I watched it and I was disappointed. I was disappointed because it didn't show me anything new in there. It's a good video in its day, 20 odd years ago when he put it out there. But some of it's a little bit glossy and some of the Real Film Stars videos are glossy. And yet I like down to earth, say it the way it is. And I think that when I first read Larry's book, when I had it, I think 2 years, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I think Larry's book came out in 2016, I think, 2017. Yeah, so I must have got a copy from, and I can't remember where I got it from. I don't know if I ordered it from or someone brought it here and said, you know, I'm not using an e-collar anymore, but I've got this book. But I lend my things out. And the problem is, we get busy with everybody. You don't always see who you lent it out to, do you? I should write it in a book, really. And so Larry sent me another one, and I appreciate that. And we will be talking about it on my Patreon site. And the reason we talk about it on my Patreon site is because now I'm being accused by these so-called fluffies. I'm being accused of talking about fluffies on my Patreon site. I ain't got time. I'm trying to educate people. I'm trying to show people how I train dogs and how discipline works and how correction works. And yes, I do talk about the subject of inexperienced people. That's part and parcel of my job, I think. But at the end of the day, I try and mix it up for people. I try and use a bit of humor. I try and use a little bit of sense and sensibility. I should be looking at that camera up there again, shouldn't I? And I definitely go out of my way to try and help people. As simple as that. Anyway, any questions? Have we got some yet? Some great videos you put up lately. Really enjoyed them. I get what you mean about so we've done that, haven't we? What am I repeating that one again for? £8.21 on Amazon at the moment. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a must. If you're going to train, you're going to use an e-collar. And Larry did a live feed last night, early this morning. I think it was on about 2 o'clock this morning. I listened to it when I woke up this morning. I couldn't stay up that long. And I listened to it, and the questions he was answering was just so plain, simple, and yet common sense. Absolutely common sense. And you've got to say that Larry has changed thousands and thousands and thousands of people's mindset with the e-collar. That's a good thing, because he showed you how the e-collar can be used in a humane way and get results. And I agree everything that I've read about what Larry says. And we've got Penny in at the moment. She's just come in, and I don't know if she was in there earlier. Penny, I'm talking about this book here. I don't know if you can see that, Penny. I don't know if you're available. You went to a training seminar with Larry, didn't you, up in Scotland? You went to a training seminar in Scotland. And I wondered, let's get Mad Penny on here, shall we?
Hello.
Oh my God, it's Penny. Hello, Pen. You're live.
You're right.
Behave yourself. Hey, Pen,
Hey.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
You went on a training seminar with Larry, didn't you, up in Scotland?
I did, yeah. That was, I think, September last year.
Can you tell everyone on here, did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. He's a great guy. He's exactly the same in person.
Yeah.
As he is on his videos. Very sincere, very, very nice, very gentleman, and dogs love him. He has a rapport with dogs. He's great. Yeah, it was really enjoyable.
And you've got his book, haven't you?
I've got the book. Yeah, I bought it in May, not last year, the year before.
And
yeah.
what do you think about the book?
I love the book. It's one of my Bibles. I mean, it's a book that I go back to now and again to, you know, refresh my own mind. And it gives you confidence when you read the book, because sometimes you think, oh, you know, you know, you slightly forget something, or you might want to try something. So I always go back to that book always. It's really well written. I use it a lot, and I like the pyramid at the front. You know, the pyramid.
Yeah.
It's done at the front.
Yeah.
I always refer to that. It's a great book. Yeah. I mean, I actually lent it out. I've actually lent it out.
Yeah, I did.
To 2 people.
Yeah.
Who were actually on the fence about e-collar, and of course it was for recall. And I said, you know, it's no good me standing there and telling you how good the e-collar is and what it can do. I'll just lend you the book. I said, I've got a book, I'll lend you the book. And I lent it out, and one family in particular, they had a young daughter in their 20s, and she was very on the fence about it, didn't like the idea of it at all. And now they actually use it, and everything is getting so much better. So, you know, it's all for the good, isn't it? All for the greater good.
Robert Jeffrey on here said it's £8.21 at the moment on Amazon to buy that book.
I think I paid 20, but it's worth 20 quid.
Yeah.
You know, to me, it's worth £20. If you can get it for £8, well, absolutely fantastic.
And do you know what, Pen? If the snowflakes, the people who are so fast to rubbish the e-collar actually read that book and opened their minds, do you think it would change the majority of people's minds if they learnt how simple and basic it is? And keeping it simple and not frying dogs is the most important thing about educating people.
I think it is. I think it's the most important thing for me now. I've gone past the fact of, you know, trainers trying to change their minds. I'm all about the people, the people with the dogs. I don't care about the, you know, the positive only or the force free or any of those training people. I'm not bothered about them. I'm bothered about the majority of the people with dogs they can't control getting into their heads more than trying to change trainers who've been training for like 112 years and they won't change their mind. Those sorts of people are never going to change their mind for 2 reasons. 1, they're afraid, and 2, they don't want to be wrong.
But the problem is they're the people going to get it banned because they're selling that false ideology that it's a tool of torture and it doesn't educate a dog. It doesn't. And we're not saying that you teach the dog with it, you overlay the behavior with it, and it's a fantastic tool. But first, like Larry said last night on his live feed, talking about the e-collar, he was on last night about, I think, 3 in the morning or something like that, 2 in the morning. He was talking about first you have to teach the behavior, and you teach the behavior in every aspect of training before you step up and use discipline. You don't just go straight in and use discipline, do we?
No, we don't. No. And some dogs don't need a lot of it anyway. Some, like we had a conversation so many times.
Yeah.
You know, people have a thing about discipline or punishment. Some dogs you can just click your fingers and change your voice and say no, and the job is done.
Exactly.
People even have a problem with that. It's not.
Are you there?
Dangerous. People's mentality today now concerns me because everyone's so fucking marshmallow weak. Everyone's soft.
Well, Stephen Logan says here the big problem is rescue centres not using discipline and perpetuating the myth of positive only training. The vast majority of dogs are there because of this. Do you agree with that? Because you work in rescue centres.
Discipline is like, you know, black, white, huge grey area. You know, most people, when you speak to most trainers and you say that you use discipline, straight away you've got your hanging dogs or, you know, using e-collars. Discipline or punishment? Well, discipline, let's call it discipline. Dogs in kennels, whether it's in rescue kennels or stray facilities, there's a level of restraint that has to be used for safety. There's no way you're going to open a kennel door and just let that dog in its state of mind charge out because you don't want to risk choking the dog for possible seconds so you don't get knocked over or bitten.
Yeah,
it's unrealistic. Anybody that has got a problem with discipline needs to go into their local stray facility or rescue centre and have a fucking good look around, open their eyes, open their mind, look, listen and ask questions and observe, because you'll see the reality is discipline is there for the safety of everybody, for the dogs, the public, the staff, the volunteers. It goes on.
But why are most of the dogs in there? They got problems. Is it the fact they've not had discipline and they've taken over? They've not had structure. They've not had balance. And that, you know, it's a shame, isn't it, that some dogs do generally need to rehomed. Other dogs, they just get cast aside because they become a nuisance, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, in the way up of things and percentage wise, you know, you're very lucky if you get a very easy compliant dog that's just not had any training, and you know you take the dog into your house and it's quite happy to settle in. You're dead lucky. Good for you if you get a dog like that.
Yeah.
But 60%, 65% of dogs now, especially with the way dogs are bred, that's another conversation, another topic. The way dogs are all this backyard breeding, and the people who are breeding them, and they're keeping these puppies till they're like 7, 8 weeks old, and they're not doing what they should be doing with them at that age, and then they're just giving them to anybody. This is why dogs will always be getting messed up. And where I volunteer, it's predominantly bull breeds. You know, it is predominantly bull breeds, and you know, great if you get a compliant, easy one. God help you if you don't.
I mean, Danny Wells was talking about the other day that he's got a rescue home that are letting him go in there and use discipline and correction on dogs, and he's getting results. I mean, they are beginning to open their minds, because we're standing up and talking about it, aren't we, in a proper way?
Yeah. And the other thing is, as well, you've got to be approachable. Danny Wells is a very approachable, nice guy. He's a genuinely nice guy. I mean, I've seen him in person, and I've seen how he is on his videos. You can't help but like the guy. He puts his work out there. He shows the dogs turned around. You know, he goes into these centres and he speaks to people, and the people have got to trust him. It's all about trusting the person, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you can be a fantastic dog trainer but still be an arsehole.
But and it's about getting results as well, though, isn't it? That's
and getting the dogs into homes, and also the support that's offered.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen it before. So many trainers have offered to help in certain places, and they're refused purely because they're not positive only trainers. And it's like sticking a knife in me, because I'm like, we've had positive only people come in, and the dog isn't making any progress, and the dog's getting worse while it's in kennels. It's getting more frustrated, and its behaviours are getting worse, and it's self-rewarding itself all the time every time it lunges at the gate. Why are we not allowing people to come in and try something else with the dog? Why don't we allow it?
Yeah, exactly.
We'd rather just kill the dog.
And the other thing is, you were telling me you were reading the Keeler book, and last week there was a bit of a fluffy debate, and this girl, I'm not going to mention her name, she started talking about she's reading the Keeler book, and everyone started going freaking mental, saying, you know, that's abuse, this is abuse, anybody who uses that method. What do you think? Do you think everybody who wants to be a dog trainer of some sort of quality should really have to read that sort of book?
I think anybody that wants to be any sort of trainer should know everything, and as much as possible, as much information that they can get their hands on. Because I mean, I teach reactivity dogs on lead, walking nice to heel, just reactivity and how to live with the dog. I'm not by any means any professional, you know, dog trainer. I just do what I can do. As Danny Wells says, stay in your lane, and that's me. But for me, I want to know everything. I want to know as much.
Exactly.
And that book was printed in 1962.
Yeah.
You cannot change fucking history.
There you go. You're right. But the thing is, we can move forward, but we must not dismiss things that work, and we must understand why they work. And if you want to learn about the 4 quadrants, and some people go, I'm not interested in the 4 quadrants, you've got to understand why the 4 quadrants work. And let's just.
And why were they invented?
And let's just talk about another book, The Monks of Nooski. Have you got that one?
I've got that one. I have got that one.
Jesus Christ!
Of that, but I haven't read it back to back. But it will be.
So we come from different background of dogs, and yet we read in the same books. Yes. Isn't that funny?
Well, yeah. It's, you know.
And yet I'm a gun dog trainer, and I'm reading e-collar training by Larry Cronin. I'm actually promoting some books, because people keep asking me what books, and I've talked about gun dog books, and I'm trying to let people understand other books that are so important in the learning curve of trying.
Woodhouse, I've got books of hers. I bought a couple of hers, really good books as well. I've got a couple of hers, and they were really cheap.
Yeah,
I mean, she's been slated. I had somebody from the RSPCA a while ago. Because whenever I buy a new book, I always post it on my Facebook page, and I was quite upset. She made a comment on my page and said, I don't like her techniques. And I said, oh, that's funny, because she's in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
She's right up there, so she must be doing something right.
So tell me what you think about this then. I won't mention who this is, right? But it says, I don't get why people get bulldogs, pit bull breeds, unless they are looking for a fighting dog. I know they can be soft, but at least read the origins and the description of the breed. What do you think? Go on, Penny. Give it. Let rip. He's got a sense of humour.
Pit bull breeds, for a start, in this country are illegal. To own one, you've got to have a license, and you know there's certain criteria that you have to adhere to own that breed. And for me, you know, any dog with teeth is going to fucking bite you.
Did you hear that?
At the end of the, you know what I mean? Any dog would say, I mean, my new little dog has got the biggest teeth I've ever fucking seen. And if he wants to bite you, not that he ever would, because he's not like that.
And any
But
woman with long nails as well.
Yeah, exactly. I just think any dog can bite. It's the power behind the dog. But again, it's, you know, there's other breeds that, you know, are banned in this country. And for part of me, in a way, I don't know how I should say this, is partly glad because there's too many people in this country that are not prepared to train a dog. And if you get a nice puppy at any age, there is no excuse to get it wrong, and so many people do. So the likes of the pit bulls and, you know, the Cane Corsos and the Argentinian whatever dogs they are, they're big, strong, powerful dogs that are usually not very compliant. And if the dog is more intelligent than you or has got a bigger attitude than you, you're fucked before you even start.
He says terriers aren't very compliant.
Hey, what?
Terriers aren't very compliant.
Terriers? Who said that?
They say they love they're shaking rats. Yeah, so brilliant. Thanks for coming on and answering some questions.
I've been live.
Oh yeah, you're live.
Oh, for God's sake.
I told you. Well, you came on here and I thought we haven't spoken to you for a while and we lost all them we lost them videos. It was great to talk to you. And it's nice. I think it's nice for people to see the other side of the coin where, you know, you work voluntary for rescue dogs and you see that side of it. And
I see all different types of dogs coming in, but the overall standard is dogs come in because they usually have, and it's usually something minor. You know, it can be like, you know, jumping up. I mean, we had a dog come in a while ago. Somebody brought the dog back in because it fucking jumps up. But you see, they allowed it for so long, and then it jumped up and knocked the 10-year-old over, and he cracked his tooth. So she brought the dog back. Very stupid because they allowed it.
Yeah.
It just got worse. And they didn't stop the dog from doing it. Everything's great and funny while it's great and funny, isn't it? And then when it's not funny anymore, an accident happens, you know, who suffers? The dog. I mean, don't get me wrong, he got rehomed and he's gone somewhere else, but it's not the point. For me, a lot of it is petty laziness and stupidness because people don't think. They just don't. They don't think.
What do you think is the biggest problem dogs you see in there, breed-wise?
We would say dog aggression, but sometimes a lot of it can just be reactivity, which will get worse.
No, what breeds are worse?
Breeds, like American bulldogs,
yeah,
staffies,
yeah. So
they're predominantly the breeds we get.
So that's what I think. That's what Sol was trying to make the point. He said, "So why is Battersea so stuffed with staffies?" I mean, staffies can be really, really loving, can't they?
My friend's got a staffy. He's never had one before, and he did his research on it, and he's got a Springer as well.
Yeah.
I walk him for him sometimes, and beautiful. His staffy is the most softest.
Yeah.
But very well trained.
Yeah.
Very well trained.
Yeah.
Because he said I was staunch on it. He said I didn't want to get it wrong, and they can be a bit whingy staffies if you're not careful. But he works and he spends a lot of time away from them, so he encouraged the dog to be independent, and obviously he's got the Springer as well.
Yeah.
But beautiful. Lovely, and there's a woman who lives not far from me. I see her on the Oval. She's got a lovely blue staffy. Again, you know, it's how you raise them, isn't it? Everybody should be working for compliance. Everybody should. There's too much. I see too many people trying to make negotiations with the dog like they're doing a fucking drug deal. You know, that's what it's like, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're trying to negotiate with the dog, and I'm like, no, just tell the dog how it is. If the dog knows what you're asking for, and they're not doing it.
Yeah.
You've got to make them do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just going to keep pushing you around.
Yeah, definitely, without fail. I agree with you.
That's
all
what
of
happens.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the same as you in the way of we're all looking for safety. We're all looking for compliance. You want the dog to do a very specific job. I just want pet dogs to be able to live in the house and be safe outside and be safe around the public and be safe around other dogs. It requires work.
I mean, not the table caller says here, Chris. I think a lot of people think on human terms with dogs. They should think that on dog terms. Spot on.
Yes, because humans by nature are more emotional, more logic, whereas I'm not.
Yeah.
Not when it comes to dogs. I love them. But you've got to put your own emotions to the back and think about what's going to fix the dog. Emotions don't fix the dog. Crying over the dog and giving it fucking Tic Tacs and sweets and fucking what's all this fucking scatter feeding? I keep seeing that all over the place. distract the dog,
Yeah,
scatter feed.
yeah.
No, fuck that.
Yeah,
Scatter feed.
it's become so. It's like they're trying to take it in a completely different direction, and all you're doing is getting the dog's attention. You're not training it, are you?
No. You're bribing and you're coaxing. You're trying to offer the dog something better than what they want to do. Well, that's all well and good in your fucking back garden, all this fucking garden gun dog training, whatever that is. I'm still waiting for a fucking video on that. But for me, if my new terrier now, my new dog.
Hey, they're all. Hey, Pen. Sorry to jump in, but they're all having a right fucking bet on you at the moment. They're all down. They're all down to 20 quid you owe us for a pound of swear.
My new terrier, 2 years old, never been off lead. Thought I can't have a dog like that in my life. I can't do that to him. So the first 2 days, a couple of days he was here on the long line, didn't even speak to him. I just let him do his own thing, and he just had to stay at the end of that line. And when it went tight, he had to come the same way as me. That's what I did with him, because I didn't want to be teaching him training before his behaviour was right. I wanted him to be fulfilled in the areas that I wanted to go, and it took me time. It did take time because I had another dog here as well at the time, the shepherd. But he's into his 4th week now, and I can see him. I can see the change now in him. And I had to use food. I had to use food rewards with him, because I know somebody's been dragging him round, and he's probably been shouted at, and he's quite timid. And I want to make him more confident. But it's taken me 4 weeks just to get him to do that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't go straight in and start using discipline on any dog that comes in here. I have to build a bond with the dog first. It doesn't mean I can't go in with discipline, but I want to see what the dog's natural thought pattern is about, not before I suppress it straight away and then don't see the real dog until he finds his feet again. I want him to have a day or two with me, find his feet, and start showing me his good traits and his bad traits, and then I can work on it. And that's what it's all about. I think that by being honest and open, it upsets some people with what we talk about, the subjects we talk about, but I think we've got people like Larry to thank for putting his head above the parapet, seeing dogs fried with e-collars, and thinking, I want to make a change in the world of dog training. Educate these people, because it's not all about muzzle, prong collar, e-collar, making them look like some out of Animal Lecter freaking film. It's a matter of quality of life for the dog. But that doesn't mean we don't use correction, but we use it sparingly, but at the right time, don't we?
Yeah, and at the right level, rather than being a nag. I always think about behaviour, and if you don't, for me, the first thing I teach a dog when it comes into my house, whether it's a visitor or whether it's staying here, is no. It's got to be, the dog needs to know straight away what's not allowed and what is allowed, because if you can't teach the dog that, you're straight away going to have, issues and stuff. Whereas I'm like, no, like, for instance, I've got a cat. No one goes near the cat bowl. My other dogs don't, and the new dog didn't, and he knew straight away that he wasn't going to be allowed to, because, as I told you before, I thought, I'm not having it. The nearest thing I had to hand was a tea towel on the draining board. I rolled it up, said no, threw the tea towel, and he run up the alleyway, come back, took one look at me, and I just ignored him because it was done. And then I carried on what I was doing, and he knew straight away after that, that's a bad idea. I don't need to go near that bowl.
And yet,
why would I try and coax him away with food?
Exactly.
Why would I try and distract him?
And then you get other people saying, that's not dog training. It's quick.
But I never have to do it. I've done it once.
Exactly. And that's.
It's not like an ongoing thing. Like, some people say, oh, my dog, it's taken me 3 weeks to get the dog to sit down and look at me. Fuck that.
Yeah.
What's that all about? You know what I mean? It's like
you're on 31 quid now.
I just think just let the dog know straight away, and then it's done, and it's gone, and it's finished, and the dog can move on.
And they don't.
What is allowed?
And the thing is, if you catch them by surprise like that, they don't hold resentment for it. They learn from it.
Well, he didn't hold any resentment for me, because I'd already put all the meals out, and he's the last one in, so he gets the last dinner.
Yeah.
The 2 eldest dogs get theirs.
Yeah.
Then the cat gets his. And I don't put them all in separate rooms, because I thought, I'm not going to create a problem. Everyone eats in the kitchen. You all get your own safe space. And I stand here and you wait for your bowl. So, of course, the first day, he's trying to get in the cat's dish. It's like, no, you're not doing it. You sit down and you wait for your own. So by day 2, he still wasn't broke to sit and was looking around the other dishes, but he didn't go in them. Now, he just sits down automatic, because he knows his bowl is coming.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes me laugh, because I know I talk about non-stop about dog training. That's my love, my passion. But I don't rubbish good treat trainers that know how to get results with, say, trick dogs or obedience dogs. And you talk about like Michael Ellis and people like that. And Larry uses food that I don't use in the same way. But I do use food, but I use it sparingly compared to Larry. That doesn't mean me and Larry are going to fall out. And, you know, I'm not against people who use food. I'm against fools who throw food at dogs non-stop.
Like Larry said before, though, and I think it's been mentioned by a few trainers, food is great when it's used for the reward. So many people use it to bribe. So an example, if a dog is looking away because they're looking at another dog and you've got your hand you in front of the dog with the food, you're using that food to try and coax them away. I'm like, no, you look at me first.
Yes,
and then you get it.
That's it. Look at me.
Look at me and you can have the food.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I was explaining on the place board. Not using the place board as a puppy at 8 weeks of age, but putting the dog on the place board to get the eye contact. When the dog looks at you, you then give the food. You're making the dog look to you for the next instruction. Or the dog looks at you, you give him the ball. You don't just give him the ball without him looking, but you can build it up with the food and then drop the food off and use the ball as a positive.
Very quickly, when I volunteered at the Dogs Trust 3 years ago, I realised in week 4 that I could get any of the owners' dogs to do anything for me because they weren't following the owner's voice or body language. They were just following the food.
Yes.
So to me, that's not dog training.
And
the dog's just got its eye on the food. It hasn't looked at the person once. I thought that there's no connection there. I could get any of these dogs to do that.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's like you can tap on the e-collar like Larry was saying without the command, but you pair it with the command to begin with, don't you? I use come here, tap, tap, tap.
Yeah.
Right. And it sends a message, come here, and then there's a consequence. It doesn't have to be nasty or hard. It can be light. But once you've mastered it and you've taught the dog and the dog understands it, you don't even have to say come here. You just tap and the dog comes in.
Just tap, and that goes for dogs that are deaf. This is my other beat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a group for deaf dogs for the amount of people in there. I can't even make comments anymore because they're all feeling sorry because they've got this deaf dog, and I'm like, so easy.
Oh, I thought you meant the people were deaf. I thought you could say what you like.
No, deaf dogs. But the amount of people in there that are like, oh, I've got this lovely dog and he's deaf, and I'm like, that dog is just going to be coddled to death on the couch. You know, I just think it's the same principle. It's sign, body language.
Listen to this. Luna 9056. 9,000. I don't know. I have a cranky, reactive Suzuki Lurcher 8 cats, and with a passion. I've always used positive reward based training, treats, stroke clicker. Yes, he responds well to it, but it hasn't resolved. It hasn't resolved exactly. And sometimes a short negative at the right time.
She needs to create uncertainty around that. Oh, better not look at the cats. That's not a good idea. You're not going to get that with food. You're not, or a clicker, really.
No, because as soon as the value is higher than the food, and that's what I was telling about, you use a high value food to get the eye contact to begin with, and then wean it off very quick, and not just use ordinary kibble, because I find that you can change that mindset very, very quick. And as long as you've got the ball as an important part of the training already, you can go back to the ball as the positive, see?
Yes.
And then the dog's not dropping the ball to look for the food.
Yeah.
Because we're training gun dogs. And so I'm not against food trainers. I'm against people and the comments they make about me. You know, there was a comment someone put on one of the feeds that someone sent me, and it said something on the grounds that if it's got tits and it feeds treats, it rubbishes them. I think that's terrible, because I like people with good. Well, I won't say anything. I got my grandson on here, but I think it's wrong, because it's
a sexist remark. It's making you sound like you're sexist, and you're not.
Yeah, and the problem is you've got to go out with it's like when you came here, Penn, innit? We went out training in areas that other people weren't. If I was a lech, whatever you call it, and was like trying to, I mean, I don't know if that was the case, but have you heard that a Glasgow dog trainer, what he's been accused of?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but they've been talking on a number of forums where he's been flashing his willy to women, sending dick pictures.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of dog training is that? What method is that?
It was he's ex-policeman as well. And what I said on the feed, it was on Michael M's feed, and Danny was on there, and I said, "Can I ask a question?" And he went, "Yeah." I says, "Was it hard or was it soft? Because you get a stiffer sentence." But just imagine that was what. Imagine you did that as a dog trainer. You lose all credibility going out with people's wives.
I'd just be a bitch. I'd forward that to all my mates, me, and put it on Facebook.
Sausage-based training, someone said. Yeah, he did the food-based training. But I tell you what, we were laughing our heads off about it. I was coming up with everything about, was he working undercover?
And who was that to? Was it a client?
No, because I think Michael Ems was talking about it, and he's an ex-policeman as well, isn't he? And Danny was on there, and they were talking about it, and then somebody said, talk about rape, and hang on, this is getting freaking terrible. What's he been accused of? And they said he's been sending these pictures to a number of women. Someone said 60 women have been sending the pictures to. Jesus Christ. I mean, not being funny, you could get yourself into right trouble, couldn't you, with people's husbands if you did that as a dog trainer, couldn't you? Eh? I mean, there's supposed to be confidentiality there, isn't there? And,
well, it's supposed to be professional. It's not professional.
No.
I wonder whether they needed the zoom lens, though.
Zoom lens, Sue, so I'm talking about that.
What's Sue say?
She's something about a zoom lens.
No, I wondered whether they needed the zoom lens.
I don't know where she's going down there, Penny. Is she talking about me? Joke's getting better. Richard Gere. Joke's getting better. No, but I think at the end of the day, if you come on these forums rubbishing my way of training, and then you get caught sending dick pictures to people, I think personally, you've only got yourself to blame, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
absolutely. Is he still working? Is he still training?
Well, they reckon that they've taken a load of de-associated themselves with him because it's gone round. But I haven't actually seen any of these pictures. He didn't send me any. He's called me a dick in the past, but that's about it.
Oh. Right.
Okay, lovely talking to you, Pen. I'm going to go back. I'll go back to this lot and see if we can answer some questions for them.
I'm going to come back on there now.
But great chatting to you, and thanks for your input. Take it easy, girl. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. So that was Pen, everyone, and what a sport she is. She's a great laugh, and she's down to earth, and I like down to earth people. Say it the way they say it, and I like down to earth people. Peter Taylor, Chris, I just watched a program about people who work on sewer had a dog who identified leaks in the pipes, and all the dog work ball, no treats, just love the ball. Exactly. We can build it on that. I'm not against food-based training if done in the way that I've watched a few people and thought fantastic. And I don't know if any of you saw, I did share it on Facebook. I did put it on my Patreon for an hour, and then I took it off because Michael Ellis was talking about gun dog training. He was talking about American gun dog trainers and force retrieving and forcing them to do this and forcing them to do that. And he was right in everything he said. I agreed with a lot what he said, but I don't think he wasn't talking in general about UK gun dog trainers. I don't think UK gun dog trainers is nowhere near as much force as they do across the pond. Now, I understand the situation, why they do what they do across the pond. I don't like some of it, and other bits of it I quite think is a good thing, the way they train. But it's my job as a professional to talk about dog training in general, as well as just gun dog training. And we learn so much. It's a military operation getting her out of the door as we are surrounded by loads of cats. Nope, no sausage for her. There you go. So anyway, any questions in here? Any questions, Sue? Do you see any? William G. Rez, he loves cats mostly, likely not hate. My dogs love chasing cats, and I actually like chasing. I don't really make too much of it. I don't want them to catch the cat. Alex Upton, hi Grandad. Hello, Alex. Are you behaving yourself? Good lad. I love that. I love that photo, that sticker you wanted for your bike. I told your mother you should get it. Looks like Pen wants to spend 50 quid. Yes, she's great, isn't she? She's down to earth. Do you know what? Some people don't like swearing. People don't like some people don't like people who swear. I've got nothing against swearing at all. It's never offended me. I do moderate myself a little bit more in front of ladies when they come here, but at the end of the day, half these ladies are worse than us blokes these days, aren't they? Chris, out of the three cues in your operation, which would you depend on most? Visual, sound, or whistle? Visual, without fail. Visual. Alex, hope you're not listening about those dick pictures. Dog trainers sending dick pictures on the internet like children. I tell you, I'm glad I haven't got the internet. And when I was a child, anyway, we'll go there. Perhaps if he stuck a torch on the end of it, his hands would be free for dog training nightlight. Robert Jeffrey, stop it, please. Stop it now. But I just think I just thought the sniffer sentence was a good one. He just came off the top of my head. Okay, Robert, where's Paul Cocker? Would love someone to change the mindset of my dogs on cats.
No, this one is Chris. Over the three cues, in your opinion, which would you depend on most? Visual, sound, whistle.
See that, Paul? She don't listen, does she? She don't listen, Paul, does she? Because we've already answered that, haven't we?
Oh, have you?
Yes, darling. Visual. Paul Jones, Adrian Slater uses food with puppies to get focus at the start, then moves to praise, touch, and food is faced out. Yep, and Adrian Slater is a good trainer. Adrian Slater is a good trainer. His wife's a good trainer as well. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with using food if you use it sparingly. And guess what? If you get results, I'm all for that. Anybody getting results, I'm all for that. But to try and turn it around and say that I hate women, I'm a woman hater, it just shows how sad they are. Can't they come up with something better than that? I just think it's a joke. And then others get on the bandwagon and go, yeah, he's just attacking women. He's a sexist. No, I'm not. I love women. You can ask my darling wife. I love women.
You're going to be a bit lonely this summer, aren't you, when you can't drive down the road and see them all in their little skimpy shorts?
See what she just said? Did you see what she just said there, Alex? Did you see that? I'm going to miss driving down the road in the summer, looking at them in their skimpy shorts and tops. Imagine sitting here with a wife and not being able to look at women going down the road. Do you know what? I'm dead lucky because my wife's never given me a clip across the head or said, what the bloody hell are you looking at that girl for? I think it's like artwork. You have to look at it to understand whether you appreciate it or not. Luna, I think, long line first, then e-collar. It's just a tough start, I guess, with the sleight of the hand moving closer. She's already on. Luna. There you go. Sight hound. I mean, we've never seen a stops on a sight hound. Maybe Chris knows if it can be done. And I think Stoll is dead right. Long line first, and then e-collar. And that's the way I would do it, especially with an older dog. I put up a video up on Patreon about one of my spaniels that went into the water and didn't come back, and he got the love of going in the water, and he just literally, he knew the behavior and he didn't listen to me, and I went and put the collar on him, and within 10 minutes I taught him the language of the e-collar, because I've worked on him for 2 years on come here means come here. You know, he knows the verbal cue. And so I was able to take him back down to that situation and put him in that same situation that was dangerous without the e-collar on, and teach him a short, sharp message. And I taught him a short, sharp message, and it worked a treat. And it worked a treat because for 2 years, he has been built up with the long line, come here, tap, pressure and release. And then I did pressure and release for 10 minutes in the field before taking him back down into the zone where it could be unsafe and I could lose him. And I know he loves hunting, and I don't do it very often. I picked up some stones, I threw them across the other side onto the other bank, knowing that he'd carry on hunting because he's that determined to carry on hunting. You wouldn't normally put that dog in that situation, and he carried on hunting, and I called him back and he didn't come back, and I used the collar on him, and I taught him, I can control you from a distance, boy, like you would never imagine. And he has never had that e-collar on him since. But that dog listens sharper than you can imagine because you've overlaid it with the behavior you've already taught, and it's as simple as that. Now, you could say that's a calculated risk. It is, but I know the dog, and I know the dog can cope with discipline, and I know that he knows how to switch off pressure, and he knew the safety was back with me. And that's exactly what we're teaching with that e-collar. And it's so easy to rubbish that e-collar and slag it off. But if we don't stand up and talk about these things, we'll not have these tools. Can we train without them? Of course we can. We can go to town without a car, but it's far easier in a car than waiting for a bus. But next they won't have buses, then we'll have to have horse and cart, Then you'll have to have a bicycle, because now they're realizing we don't need all these extra things now we've been locked up for this long. You see, fuel's coming down, isn't it? Hey, it only comes down when we're not using it. Hey, it's not worth nothing oil at the moment, is it? Okay, Dr. Soul, please take up the challenge. My dog has had the taste of hell, but nothing every day is the same. Where the cats, his life is about them. Look at this, Paul Cocker. Cats. I never realized that people had so much problems with cats. Okay.
Soul loves cats, doesn't he?
Soul loves cats. Well, his dog does. Soul could tell you a story about cats, or a cat. Anyway, that's another story. Hi, Chris. King Como. How do I get my lab to deliver a dummy after a water retrieve without dropping it off and shakes it? He does pick it up after to make the delivery. Simple, King Como. Stand in the water. So when the dog's coming out, put yourself in the water so the dog comes to you. Most dogs won't drop it in the water. And then move yourself further and further back, very, very gradually, so you're just on the edge of the water. And I find it works fantastic. And I then teach them to hold it, because I don't want them to shake. I don't want to drop it, shake, and then pick it up and bring it to me. So the idea is, if you start off in the water, especially in the summer, if you get in there reasonably deep and they're swimming, they'll never drop a dummy while they're swimming. So as soon as they hit the bottom of the bank where they're coming out, sometimes some dogs will drop it, but then it will just float off and they'll have to pick it again. So they learn, I'm not going to drop it. So that's the best way to do that. But yeah, good question. I like those sort of questions. They're so easy. I've done it thousands and thousands of times, and yet it's so simple. So simple. Chris, my dog knows pressure and most likely has become collar savvy. Well, if your dog's become collar savvy, Paul, I don't think you've done it reasonably the way we would do it then. I may be wrong, but I've never come across a dog that I know dogs become collar wise. It's like Rafa. He knows when he's got the collar on. He won't do nothing wrong when he's got the collar on. But the difference is I use it like a naughty step. If he really messes me around, I go and put the collar on. And if I got to give him 2 or 3 nips on it, and then I can take the collar off, and he goes, if I misbehave, I get the collar put back on. So he's avoiding even having the collar on, because he's just learned to say, okay, I can't win this battle. But I was talking about this on a live feed the other day, and I wasn't trying to be awkward with anyone, but I was actually saying, why do some dogs want to be leaders and some dogs want to be followers, and some dogs just don't want to push boundaries and other dogs do? And at the end of the day, that's the same as people. Some people want to be leaders. Some people aren't happy unless they're leading or dictating or being the center of attention. Other people are quite happy to sit back and follow, and other people are non-confrontational. And dogs are exactly the same. I got some dogs out there, like Penn was saying earlier, you can say boo to them and they listen to you. Simple as that. And other dogs, you'd have to scruff them. As simple as that. And each dog, you can't even say it's breed specifics, because you can't say all Malleys are hard. Some Malleys are soft. Some cockers are soft, and some are just pig-headed. Some are soft as hell. Some people say my dog pees itself if I shout at it. Sometimes that's because it's not learned to cope with pressure, and you're mollycoddling it because the dog has learned to play you, roll over and play dead. I watched a video the other day. The bloke took it for a walk with all these restrictions, and the dog just sat in the middle of the pavement going, I'm not moving. He had to drag it. He had to pick it up. And every time he went to pick it up, the dog got up, and then the dog would just drop to the floor. The dog was testing him. He was pushing boundaries. I know I'd do. I'd drag the little bugger down the track. He'd soon freaking come then. But if people see you doing that, dragging your dog across the pavement, people will go, that's bloody cruel. But I guarantee, I've had soft dogs before that go, I don't want to do that. And you go, yes, you are. I'm going to push you through that boundary. And they cope with it. And soft dogs will play you up sometimes more than an headstrong dog. Because headstrong dog, you can give it discipline and it doesn't hold resentment. Whereas soft dog, sometimes you give it discipline, it gets all moody on you. It's a bit like Sue, I can't beat her anymore. I used to be able to when she was younger. She used to enjoy it. See her in the background? She thinks that's funny. That's because she's not been beaten. That's the problem. And yeah, Look how many people are having domestics at the moment. The domestic rate's gone up. People are being arrested all over the place for abusing their women, in the house, isn't it? Sad, isn't it? Isn't it?
Terrible. Not being funny, the women should take a frying pan to them, shouldn't they?
Hear that?
That's all I'm out.
That Sue take a frying pan to me, she said, if I started. That'd be a big freaking frying pan. I hope with some bacon in it. She wouldn't know where the freaking frying pan is. I'm the cook in our house. Barry E. Hello, Barry E. What's your favourite method of teaching a lab to old hunting area at a distance? Do you stop with the whistle or ask the dog to hunt again, or is it another way? Well, I teach the dog, Barry. I teach the dog by setting the dog up at a distance, walking back and dropping the dummy, and then bringing the dog towards me. Recall once I've moved further back about halfway, and then say to the dog there, or last, and the dog learns to put his head down and hold that area and bring the dummy back to me. And at first I do it in short grass, and then I start doing it in long grass. So it's and sometimes I'll stick a pole in the ground so I know exactly where I've dropped the dummy, and I'll position myself between the pole, looking at the pole, and the dog behind the pole. So I will angle myself anywhere in the field where the dog's got to come back towards the pole where I put the dummy. Once the dog gets back there, it doesn't matter what sort of cover it is. Once you've taught the dog in short, light, open cover, you can then say there, last, and we're teaching the dog to put its head down and hold the area. And it's exactly the same with a Springer Spaniel. We do exactly the same with a Springer Spaniel. We're teaching the dog to hold an area. And that's why it's so important that when you throw out a dummy, or you throw out a dummy launcher ball, or fire a dummy launcher ball, or you do it on a tennis racket, a ball, you teach the dog to get to the fall. One of the videos I've been put up this week is showing people what happens if you have got a ball on a string and you really lob it, great long distance it will go, and the dog hasn't marked it, and then the dog goes out halfway out the field and starts putting his head down and hunting. You're creating a problem. So that's why it's important that I teach that as well. Marking ability is so important, but once you want to get the dog's head down and hold an area, I teach the dog that way first. Always sitting the dog further out, coming back halfway. Always work it back halfway, call the dog back in and go there, or last, and teach the dog to drop its head on hunting on that command. All right. Liam Henderson, thank you. I suffer from mental health depression. I got a 12-month-old Springer Cluson, and your videos really helped me so much in Big Pat and Backfield. Thank you so much indeed, Lisa. I'm really pleased for you. And do you know what? You're dead right, because we've had people coming back from the army with problems, mental health problems, depression, and trauma. And you get somebody, their head into training a dog, and the love and the desire to want to get up every morning and get out there and meet your best mate and take him out training, it can change the mental state of people. And we've had people here, I won't mention their names because that's not fair, but I've had a guy here who his mother died, I think 27 years ago, and he's still not got over the trauma of his mother dying, and he couldn't get out of the house, and he got a dog, and then we started training him with the dog, and we changed his mental health massively. And so doesn't it show that it's not all about tablets and suppression? You know, if you get the mindset right and you're enjoying what you're doing, you want to get up in the morning and get out there training. And so thank you so much for that. That's what I do this job for. I've had young kids that were troublesome, and they got into dogs, and their mum and dad said, you've changed his life. He's gone over to dogs and he just loves it. He's kept out of trouble. He's not on the streets. We've had lots and lots of situations. So thank you for sharing that and being open and honest about that. That's really nice of you. Thank you very much indeed. And everyone should give Liam a bollocks there, I think, personally, because it takes.
They've all said
well done. Well done, mate. Right. So any more? Come on. Let's have some more.
I did see one
some questions. Come on. There must be something up there.
I did see one that was very well, I can't find it.
She can't find it.
Oh, more Mannerstone Gun Dogs.
Mannerstone Gun Dogs, go for it.
Right, hi Chris, great to see you live. Seen many of your videos which are all really useful. My WCS has started to develop a stubborn streak holding dummies. Would it be worth using an e-collar?
No, don't use an e-collar for holding on to dummies. No, don't. What I have a tendency to do is bring the dog in with a long line, and I ask the dog to sit. And with that, I stand on the long line so the dog can't go anywhere. And I get the dog to come in and sit close to me. And then what I do is I go down to take the retrieve and I step on his front pad. I step on, not jump, step on his front pad at the same time as saying dead. The dog will release the retrieve if you stand on its front pad. Now, the only thing that you may create, if the dog is very, very dominant and aggressive, you can create the dog to want to come up at you if you're not careful. So that's where you've got to be a little bit careful. But you'll find that most gun dogs, it's not the case of that. It's just they're trying to just be slightly dominant, but not aggressive. So just be careful. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I do. Is if a dog comes in, you can take the dummy with one hand and you can pinch the toe with your hand. So take the foot and just pinch it. So he realizes, hang on, I get a slight negative, but it's not hurting him. And you're taking the dummy and you say the same word, dead. You're building it up. William Judes Webb, apart from putting the obedience into the pups in your early days, anything else you do now that you have changed? I don't really, apart from putting the obedience into your pups. Do you know what, William? I don't put that much obedience into pups. I honestly don't. I mean, I saw an interesting live debate with Chris Frazee the other day where he was talking about someone on there said your dog has got to think that you could kill it. And I understand what they're trying to say, but you know, because I've got an open mind to what he's trying to say, but I wouldn't want my pups to think that. If I've got a dog and it's showing me assertiveness, then yes, I want the dog to realize and think, if I mess with him, I could end up freaking being hurt here. And so at the end of the day, I can stop that behavior there. But I don't use much discipline. And yeah, I use correction, but not much discipline with youngsters. I like to build that gameplay. And I'd rather have a naughty youngster at 12 months of age that I can then come down on because I've allowed that spirit and that drive to come out, rather than, you know, I'd rather go down that road of gameplay to begin with. Then when I do give discipline, because I've not given it on a regular basis, then the dog goes, oh, freaking hell, that's to be avoided. And that's the way I do it. So apart from putting the obedience, so I put a tiny bit in your early days. Anything else you do now that you have changed? I can tell you when I first started, William, I was having dogs trained at 6 months of age that other people at 2.5 couldn't get to that level. Yes, you can get that into a dog, but what you do, you make the dog what we call handler reliant. It needs the handler all the time for approval, for guidance, instead of using that natural ability. And you know, a lot of sports trainers, and I think that's where you learn so much from, they've learned to tap into that gameplay, that drive, and control the drive. The difference is like in the environment in the backfield, my dogs don't play me up very often because that's where we train. If I took them into Tesco's car park, yes, I'd have a certain amount of control, but they're not looked as happy in Tesco's car park because we don't train in Tesco's car park with lots of people, lots of cars, making him sit and stay. I'd rather keep him on a lead in Tesco's car park, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean I couldn't walk him around Tesco's car park, but it's not their environment I train them in. So with me, I'm a specialist gun dog trainer, and over the years, I've learned to back off and do less discipline, less drills, and more to do with building that social bond between me and that dog. That social bond to me is more important. I want the dog to want to do it rather than force it to do it. I hope that helps you.
Peter Taylor's got a question.
Peter Taylor just started to build a brick and block kennel with heating, running water, shower. Can you think of anything else you would put into a new kennel? Well, if I'm going to stay in there, I want a TV, DVD, and one of them rotating beds. Water bed. I'd like a water bed. Do you know what, Peter, at the end of the day, as long as your kennels aren't facing your house so your dogs can see you and it's warm, it's dry, put a radio in there. Always have a radio in there. Susan said, what she said, hey, Peter, radio. Look at that. She's over the moon. She's got a question right. That must be a first, everyone. Let's have a bollocks. Let's have a bollocks for Susan. Radio. Radio. She says Radio Gaga.
Made up now.
She's made up, she is. She's over the moon. She might have won a squirrel skin if I had one. A beer fridge. That's what you want, a beer fridge. That's it. Heat lamp. Well done, look at this. Look, they're all giving you a Heat lamp for the winter. He's got radiators. He's got heating. Okay, bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. Well done, Susan. They're all loving it. Look, radio. Not bit late there. Not the tables, Carla. Sue beat you on, pipped you on that one. So can't believe you didn't say wine fridge. Exactly so. She's made me take me pheasants out the bloody freezer in my kennels to put frozen food in there in case there's a freaking a rundown on food. She's hoarding like a little mouse. Oh, good evening, Pierre. Nice to see you in the house, boy. Who's living there? You or the dog? Exactly. That's it. That's exactly it. Anyway, any more questions? Because you've had your hour. You've had your hour, you lot. Come on. No more questions, Sue?
I don't think so.
Well, it's been a crazy week for me, everyone. I have a GSP who seems not to be bothered by the e-collar. You know, so bothered by the e-collar. I know she can feel it, and when about putting it higher, frustrating since it worked perfectly for my older dog. Any tips? I found with the dogs that have been here, GSPs, they seem to have a different pain threshold, but I've not. One of my collars goes to 100, and one of my collars goes to 127. And one of the collars, I could tap a dog at 40, and it would work, and the other one would work on 15. And so it depends on what collar you've got. Julian, these Chris Squirrels are on the way next week. You're a star, Julian. You're an absolute star. I've got 2 or 3 people who I promise next time I see them. So thanks very much indeed, Julian. That's really nice of you. Thank you very much. They'll appreciate that. So welcome to my world, Swanee. There you go. That's why I said Sol. Look at Sol. Sol may answer those questions for you. But it's very much about the dog. There you go. That's exactly what I was just about to say. It's about the dog, and it's about how you've taught it. And if you go in and you keep increasing it, you can make them be able to take the pain far better than teaching them the behavior on low stim and then adding to it at the point. But it's all to do with timing, and it's all to do with education. And I wonder if Sol wants to make any comment on here. So,
Julian said Chris Squirrels on their way next week. So can I have them, please?
Sue?
I want a prize.
Sue says, can she have one, Julian? Because she answered the prize about a radio in the freaking kennels. I said she's won a squirrel skin. Yeah. He said he's going to do a pink one for you. He's going to dye it. He's going to dye a pink squirrel skin for Sue so she can put it next to her bed.
Oh, blue's my favourite.
Blue's her favourite colour. And she says, can she have 2 of those little eyes on the side? There you go. Look what Sol is actually saying to you. That's what he's saying to you, and I agree. What color would I recommend? Well, I use the Dogtra. Larry uses Mini Educator, and he's got the expensive one as well. But I use Dogtra, and like Larry said on this live feed, you know, he used to use the Dogtra, and they're good collars, but he reckons you get a better customer service with the Mini Educator one. I've only ever used Dogtra, and I found that both of them I fully recommend. But it's amazing how different they are in their stims, and I use one for tougher dogs and one for softer dogs. As simple as that, because one is very, very gentle, and if you've got a dog that's a lot more sensitive, then you know you can turn them all down, but the one of them's got the ability to go up reasonably high and send the dog. And what they class them is mid-range collars that I use. One's a lower end, and then the other one's a mid-range. And I'm not dealing with very high drive pointers on a regular basis. I swap you a squirrel skin for a bottle of Jack Daniels. Oh, look at that. Don't tempt me.
No, you can actually they can deal with me on that one if I'm getting a nice one.
No, I'm sorry, I can't do that, Simon. They have to be won. They have to be won by customers, unfortunately, because Jules is a superstar, and he doesn't charge us. And I've asked him if he wanted to go down that road, and he says no, not really. He don't want to be put under that pressure, and I totally understand. But he's been absolutely fantastic over the years, and he's supplied us so many and helped so many people. And I do owe probably 3 or 4 out already when they come in. But that's very nice of you, really nice of you. But I can't do that. I can't. Send him to me in the post. Not really. Not really. See what
Jarvis, you earn a squirrel, then. So you got to earn it.
You got to earn it. You got to earn it. It means something, then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like it's.
It. I got a question right
Yeah.
now.
Sue got a question, right? She earned it. She earned it, right? So should we have a question tonight and see who earns a squirrel skin for next week when they arrive? Or do you want to get going, everyone? It's 10 minutes. Hang on, you lot. You've had overtime.
Yeah, they'll have to wait another time, won't they?
You have to understand. You have to wait till next week. We'll do a competition next week. Boo-hoo, I understand, mate. Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, I can't make money out of what he's doing. He's been a fantastic ambassador towards us and helped us so much. And they are so handy. People love them as well. So well done, everyone. And thanks for tuning in, Chris and Sue. And I tell you, keep safe, everybody. Like I say, next week, the lockdown, we're lifting the lockdown. We're all going on holiday. We're all going on holiday. We're all going to Scotland because everyone will be coming down here when they do the lift down, won't they, to Cornwall on holiday, bringing all their germs with them and all their diseases. I'm going up to Scotland, up on the rabbits, where it's quieter. I get away from all these holiday makers. I think if they lift this thing at the end of the month, by God, there's going to be some holiday in it, isn't there? It's going to be a nightmare. Anyway, so thanks a lot, everyone. Chris Upton signing off. Thanks for tuning in. I thought you were going on holiday in Brittany. I thought we were going on holiday in Brittany. I thought we were going to do like those free chefs around Italy. We were going to do Brittany in a camper van, one of them little tiny Bedford rascals. You and me, so hey, you spooning me in a Bedford rascal. Can you imagine that? Hey, join you in Scotland, yeah. Okay, good night, everyone. Chris Upton signing off. Take it easy.